Tell me a little bit more, man. You touched base about Miami down there, down south. Talk to me a little bit more about the down south movement you got going on down there.
I mean, you know, I come from Miami as well as, like, I come from Brownsville. You know, I lived back and forth all my life. My whole family is in Miami. And Miami has always been real big on hip-hop, whether people understand that or not. Like, y'all learned how to break dance in 1982. And I'm from, you know, Brooklyn, New York. I learned how to break dance when I was in Miami. You know what I mean? And
I think a lot of people have a misconception of Miami. I think a lot of people think Miami like hip-hop or like pop hip-hop. So like, why don't you speak on that? Like,
I mean, there's an underground in every city out here in this world. From the United States to every country out there. You know, I think the thing that helped Low Lights be so successful, just like myself, Thirstin, Howl, Rack Low, Mayhem, Loran, Philo, is because there's an underground audience everywhere you go. I've never been to a city where there wasn't an immaculate underground audience that lived the culture. Not people who listen to the music on the radio, people that live the culture. Like, you know, some of my first times in Germany and all that, I saw Germany had more graffiti than the Bronx. That's real talk. But it was like, you could go to a store and tell the person you want to paint a mural on in one, they let you do it. Because a lot of the artists in Germany were doing burners and real strong graphs. They wasn't just throwing shit up and running away and hiding with a dirty marker in their pocket, leaving ink stains and all that, you know what I mean? Yeah, it was like people really lived the culture, man. So it was like, you gotta respect it when they live in it.
Perfect example of that. I'm from Ecuador. I went there about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, right? So I go out there. My first time I went there was when I was like 3, so I don't remember nothing from it, you know what I mean? So I went there recently, got to go to different cities, really see where my family was from, you know what I'm saying? So we're driving around, on a highway, on a road, and then I see on a building tagged up the Wu-Tang symbol, and that can be, you know what I'm saying? So like you just said, it's an underground fan base everywhere, no matter where you go. You know what I mean? That
everywhere.
That shit is
I seen it in Peru. I seen it in Miami, even when people didn't expect it to be there. Like, you know, like when I started doing music and all that, you know, I started doing music in 95, 96.
Right.
I never heard of underground before. I never heard hip-hop ever be called underground.
Right, yeah.
When UTFO were releasing records, Cold Crush Brothers, Kumo D.
At that time, it was just called hip-hop.
Yo, it was on mainstream radio all day long. It was no underground. This was the Roxanne all day long on mainstream radio. Roxanne's Revenge all day long. There was no such thing as underground. I never heard the word underground until I heard the word puffy. Straight up and down. Like, that's when I started hearing underground, like Buckshot Shorty, Boot Camp Click. They weren't underground when they first came out. That was mainstream hip hop. Brand Nubian. That was mainstream hip hop. Radio play all day long in rotation. Every city in this motherfucking country.
Back then, the pop name for it was just called rap. You know what I'm saying? Everybody knew what it hip hop, but back then they were just calling it as rap. But like you said, that was all mainstream back then.
All mainstream.
And it's a shame that it's not anymore. You know what I'm saying? But somebody in the chat was like,
I don't know, man. In a way it is, but in a way it's not. Yo,
somebody was saying in the chat,
you gotta sift and sort anyway. This shit ain't for everybody anyway.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Somebody in the chat was like, who said hip hop died? And I just said, I was like, hip hop never died. People just got lazy. People don't want to check for new music anymore.
Nah, I mean, hip hop lives in your heart, man. So, like, if you die, then hip hop died. When I die, hip hop dies within me. You know what I mean? If you're a fan of commercial radio and commercial rap, and when that dies, or you die, it dies with you. It goes the same for whoever lives, you know what I mean? Just like graffiti artists, you know what I mean? It's the same aspect. Whatever you live within your heart, it's alive. You know what I mean? Pedophiles, for as fucked up as that is, like, it's alive, it lives in their hearts. It's a fucked up comparison to make, but it's the truth. Some people who live hip hop live it to the extreme. Like I was born when hip hop was born, so I got a chance to see everybody. Everybody who ever came. I saw everything. My favorite record still to this day of all times is Buffalo Girls. And a lot of people don't even know what the fuck I'm talking about. But that's my favorite hip hop record of all time. And it didn't have no rap lyrics on it. And I'm a super nigga. You know, it had the Supreme Team and all that, but it wasn't the extreme of what rap lyrics became, you know what I mean? And I'm a super lyricist, a person who I look for lyrics first.
Right.
You know what I mean? But hip-hop gonna live forever, man.
So y'all, obviously Low Lifes, the movement is gonna live forever because there's so many people. Do you guys have any idea? I mean, we've been talking about how it's spread, how it's across the globe now. It's within the States, it's overseas. Do you guys have any idea, like is there any number as far as how many people are repping Low Lifes right now?
It's unpredictable.
You can go, it's crazy. It's like a stupid number right now.
You can't predict it. You know, you can see a lot of the followers. If you go to Low Life Music, Film, and Art page on Facebook, you'll see a lot of the different material that's out there. A lot of the Ayak art that's out there. A lot of the Low Life art that's out there.
So beyond the music, you was touching on that before. Talk about more beyond the music. What else is out there?
I mean,
everything
is out there.
Right? Everything that's from a creative standpoint.
The art and the film, like, what's that about? Like,
if you look at Solutions and what they're doing right now, Boxlow with the team out in Miami and the filmmaking and the graphics and everything that they're working on right now.
What Hazo was doing, you know, Hazuno, he's big on the graphics and the logos that symbolize us today. So there's been so many people just adding on to the movement that's a part of the movement.
Right.
Some from before and some from now.
Right.
But it's like, it's expanding so hard because people are putting their hearts into it.
Right, and that's where it's at.
That's
what
it is.
That whole movement, you guys like have, speaking on the graphics and the art and the film, you guys have what record labels pay people to do. You know what I'm saying? You all have all those sources right there.
Yeah, you know it's such a talented group of individuals that we do the videos, we do the videos, the songs. You name it, it all gets done by the whole family that's there.
Even from back in the days, where the record labels got their ideas from. Right. The street, you know, the people in the street that live it, the people that bring it, you know what I mean?
Right.
Even from the standpoint of your slang, all that, like, every standpoint of the culture you can imagine, man.
Yeah, that shit starts right there and it just gets jacked eventually.
It never get jacked because you can't take shit from me. You might be able to, you can't do that shit in my face. We the same niggas like that too. Like, I'm coming to the club with the biggest chain and all, and I'm gonna walk around everywhere, everybody, you know, seating area, all the stuff, and I'm gonna leave here with my chain.
Word.
You know what I mean? It's the same standpoint. You might bite it, but you're not gonna jack me for my shit. Especially not in my face. And that's the same thing for the Low Life shit. You know, we jacked y'all, we jacked the people out there for what they had, materialistic shit. But we never bit nobody's style. We never took nobody's style.
Speaking on that, somebody was asking in the chat, you know, we touched on it a little bit before. Somebody was asking, how did Low Life actually like start? Like, obviously with any movement, it always starts with a crew. So speaking on like beginning.
Low Life started from two crews. It started from the R.L.P.C kids, which were from St. John's in Utica, and it started from the Marcus Garvey Village in Brownsville, the United Shoplifting Association.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Two crews, like, you know, there were a couple of people credited for the Crown Heights side and the R.L.P.C kids. That's a big name. Yeah. My man Ski-Lo, Pumpkin, you know, there was others who started the United Shoplifters in Brownsville. Yeah. But by '88, you know, we combined, we came together, and that's how we became Low Life. I'm founder of the name Low Life, you know what I mean? Like, I'm a founder from the gate, you know what I mean? From when it began, from before we did the polo, you know, we did all the styles of fashion of New York, of the evolution. Like, polo was just an evolution of what was going on already with Run DMC, the Adidas, the Schoolie D, my Gucci time, and all that. It was an evolution, you know what I mean? But once the Low Lifes came together, because for one, Low Lifes all came from like dysfunctional households, like motherfuckers that was succumbed to what was going on in their projects in their hood, and people who didn't have anything.
We're talking about '88 and early '90s.
No, we talking about way before that.
Even
like,
before that, that's when he was even more fucked up.
Low Lifes established in '88, but before that, both of these groups that I mentioned that made Low Lifes, that made them, they evolved from the early '80s of New York City. You know what I mean? So by then, by '88, Low Lifes was born.
That's when New York City was a war zone back then.
was always in war.
Yeah, like before you came out.
It was wars on the worst when the gangs was doing it in the 70s. You know what I mean? Like, this is I come from that. Like, my household consisted of the gangs of the 70s. My mother's the gangs of the 70s. My mother had 10 brothers and sisters, and they're all gangs of the 70s. Wow. So in my house, everybody was a gang from the 70s. Wow. You know what I mean? So that's what I evolved into when Low Lifes came about. You know what I mean? Just the early generation before that. You know what I mean? So
okay.
But once Low Lifes was established, see, what people don't understand why polo is so universal and it's all around the world, every country. You know, New York has always had the first influence in the culture of hip hop. Like I said, hip hop bridged the gaps of the world way before anything, right? So we were in every club that was existing in the golden era in the beginning. This is where all the rappers was out performing. When the rappers was out performing, we weren't rappers. But when the rappers were performing at their venues and their clubs, they saw low lights when they looked in that crowd. So a lot of the rappers adapted to the low lifestyle. Like, people don't know, Run DMC then, you know, they pioneered Adidas for the commercial aspects of it, but if you lived in New York City, you knew that the Adidas, the leather blazers, the Kangos, like LL was doing and all that, that's what New York was doing. So when they on stage, they getting to see this in the crowd, in the street, in the people. You know what I mean? So that's what brought it to the whole world. So that's what they were seeing from the same act. They were seeing low lifes in the crowd. All the rappers were being influenced by the low life influence. A lot of rappers knew low lifes and things like that. So a lot of rappers were becoming to the low lifestyle. All the Gucci, the Benetton, everything that they were talking about in those days, you know what I mean? And it came to what it is now. Like I said, the evolution. The rappers of then taught the rest of this world and all the rap fans around the world about polo. Because of what they heard Pooh say in the songs, what they heard a lot of different rappers mention when they heard Slick Rick say with the polo cologne, and they heard Heavy D say certain shit about polo. It's because of the influence that Low Lifes were bringing here regardless, because we were so much everywhere even back then. And back then we was way worse. You know, now we do it politely. Back then we doing it with your girl like this, saying, look, I'm doing it and your girl right here with me. You know what I mean?
You know, some people maybe tend to forget as far as the beginning of it. Do you feel like newcomers need to rep like that from back then? Do they, like, is that like a standard? Like, if you're gonna rep Low Life, you know what I mean? Like, is that shit still relevant from how it was back then?
I mean, you rep it how you feel it in your heart if you're a true life. Especially no matter what generation you're coming from, like, everything evolves. Like, I can't expect nobody to think how we were thinking back in the primitive days, you know what I mean? Because that was still primitive to everything, especially technology. You know what I mean? So rep it how you feel it in your heart. That's what makes it real. In any form of the art or the craft you do, when you rep it from your heart first, it makes it true. And nobody can tell you you're not true to it or you're doing it wrong. You know what I mean?
Yo, that's what's up, man. That's definitely what's up, man. And not for nothing, there's a lot of similarities now. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of the rappers now that's getting down with it, you know what I'm saying? They're just moving it on and they're doing their little spin on it. Like you said, man, that's real hot, you know? But on the business side, you guys provide a lot of services from fucking styling to videos to all this shit. How can people get in contact with the source of the source for bookings, videos, styling for videos, whatever the fuck you might need, like that business contact? You know what I mean?
I mean, you know, highlight the whole situation. You know what I mean? The official Low Life Film, Music, and Art page on Facebook. That's a way to get at us. Highlight Garcia, you know what I mean? Who's a big representative of the business of this, you know what I mean? Highlight Thirstin Howl III, highlight Racklow. There's different ways to get in touch with those that represent it from a business perspective to understand what we're doing. ThirstinHowl3rd.com, Garcia on Facebook, Victor Thirstin Howl III, the Jesus on Facebook. you got holler at me direct, 718-930-6126. If you look at every single CD I ever put out, my phone number is on there, even from the ones from 11 years ago, son. It's the same phone number. If you look at it, and that's the same phone that's in my pocket right now, because business is important to what we're doing, because we want this movement to be mainstream. This is a big part of hip-hop, even though, you know, like I said, it's in the history books, it's going to live forever, but it needs to be in the faces of your cereal boxes and all that other mainstream that goes with it.